to just walk away from the case? The answer to that, if they answer that, it will give you a very good indication of where they're going on the case. Next question. Do you have any plan to encourage, or that you think might encourage Johnson & Johnson to settle the case? Is there anything you're doing, or any program, or any letter, or any evidence that you have found, or any recent studies about the extent of my damages that you found that you think would help Johnson & Johnson get off the dime? Okay. What is the likelihood Judge Kincaid will transfer the cases back home? Wow. In other words, what if Judge Kincaid next month looks at our case, my case, your case, says, are you willing to settle? And Johnson & Johnson says, nah, get out of here, lying faker. And Judge Kincaid then says, well, okay, this case is from California. I'm sending it back to, a little too far to go. I see that Los Angeles is full, so I'm going to send it back to Sacramento. Oh, great. So now I have to be in Sacramento in court at 9 a.m. Okay, thank you. And then he looks at the next one and says, okay, you live where? You. This is, I'm speaking to you now. And you say, I live in Montana. He said, well, okay, let me go to federal court. I'm going to send you, I'll tell you what, I'm going to send your case is going to the court in Denver. Your case is going to Denver. Okay. So we want to ask our attorneys, what are the odds of that happening? If it did happen, what would their plan be to fight it? Would they plan on going there and being the lawyer on the case? Would they plan on living in Denver or in Sacramento for 2 months? Do they believe that that's a billable cost? In other words, if they're going to live in a hotel, $250 a night for 2 months, you're looking at 12 times, that'd be somewhere, how much is that? Is that 200? No. Is that $150,000, something like that? So they're going to say, well, we had a hotel bill. No, it's way less than that. Wait a minute. If it's $250 a night, 7 would be, about $1,500 a week. So 8 times $1,500 would be about $12,000. That makes more sense. So who pays that $12,000 hotel bill? What about their eating? Am I on the hook for their $6,000 worth of meals they had while they were out here? I don't know the law about, are they automatically entitled to do the case? In other words, do they have to be a California attorney to come out here in California and do it? I know you can't practice here unless you are a licensed California attorney. You cannot walk in here from any other state except, I think, Hawaii, and come in and just start practicing, because we have a very strict bar, and people who pass the bar in Georgia would never pass the bar here in a million years. So that's that. We want to ask them, are you planning on coming out to California if that happens? Or are you planning on me moving to Texas for 2 months? Because I'm not moving to Texas for 2 months or 2 weeks. No, thank you. Let's find, before it becomes late, before it becomes an issue, what is it that you believe, Mrs. Attorney, you're entitled to do if Judge Kincaid, after he looks at our case, twists the arm of Johnson & Johnson, cannot get a settlement? What is it that you're entitled to do to the case? Are you entitled to tell the case, we're not willing to go out to California, we're stuck here in Texas? Or are you going to do as I instruct you, which is you tell them, send it to the court downtown L.A., and we're ready to go? And if they complain, say, but I'm not licensed there, I can't do it, what will I do? Say, well, you resign, and we'll find another attorney. Tell the court we need a lot of time because no other attorney is going to jump to take the case, but we'll find one sooner or later. And we'll say, but we don't want the case heard. And believe me, even though they're supposed to send the California laws to Texas if the California cases are heard there. No way in the world. It doesn't work that way. The California courts are much more generous, fair. They're much more forward-looking in damages, and you are way better off having your case heard in California than in federal court in Dallas, Texas. And who knows? Maybe you could even get it sent. I don't know this, but we'll look into it. Maybe you could get it sent to state court. I've filed forms before that got my case taken out of federal court and sent down to California state court. And if you can get your case heard in California state court, holy moly, now you're in heaven. You have juries that just give away the money. You have less of the abuse that the federal system puts on being ready, because they give you a deadline, and if you show up 10 minutes court late, they dismiss your case. So all of that threat of the pressure goes away if you can get to a state court in California. So that's something we want to do. Let's look into that. I have a feeling some of you are saying, I didn't realize it was going to be this complicated. Maybe we should have made one show out of each question. Well, I would, but then we'd still be meeting here in February or March. Let's hope in February or March we are on the beach in Bali. Okay. What about your travel and lodging expenses are not covered in the event that the case is shipped here? We already went over that. What if I want a local California lawyer here? And now remember, this is different. This is not what we talked about. They're saying, oh, no, don't worry. I get under the rules, since I have the case when I'm in Texas, in federal court. If they send it to federal court in California, I'm already approved. That's not true. It can't happen. But let's say they come up with that line. We're saying, no, you're not hearing me. There is a great advantage to having a lawyer who's been to the judge's house, plays golf with him on every other Sunday, and is the one who he goes to lunch with. So, no, I want the case sent to Los Angeles, and I know 2 or 3 different lawyers. I'll name them: Brown Green. You want to get Steve Lipton. Who are some of the other ones? Those are the big ones that I can think of that you would want to get them as your attorney. And so you're saying, well, you can come out here too if you want, but the person I want up at the front of the courtroom is somebody who is, without question, a pal of the judge's. And you're definitely not a pal of Judge Manny Real, who is out here. We'll get into that another time. The laws are much better in California. And if we have to bring in another lawyer, in other words, because I will tell you this, you bet your bottom dollar, if they send it to Los Angeles or wherever your case is, if you live in Maine, we're talking about what if they send the case to Maine. You better believe the first thing Johnson & Johnson's going to do is find 3 cute female lawyers and maybe 2 handsome male lawyers from the area where the courthouse is, and say, how would you like to defend us in court? Sure. So now the cute lawyers that the judge knows and is probably spotted in the courthouse are walking in on behalf of Johnson & Johnson. And you've got your guy from Texas who the judge has never heard of. No, we have to even out the playing field there, okay? Now, this is one that may not affect you, but as I went through the literature on these cases, and I'm up to my eyeballs in reading on them, one of them briefly mentioned something my attorney had done. I couldn't even figure out what it said, and then I looked at the advertising that my attorney had sent me, and it said, it claimed he practically single-handedly had won the verdicts in the courtroom of $1 billion. So my question is, what did you do? What did you do in the cases that were already in court that helped those people win? I got 2 questions. One, was it anything impressive? So we know, is it really something that shows our attorney has some talent? And dude, why are you doing it for them and not me? Why were you expending your time helping those 5 people that I don't get any money for? Because I checked, none of the 15 people in there were represented by my attorney. His law firm. So why are you out there doing anything to help other people win their case? Why aren't you helping me win my case? Okay. And the last question, that's a great one. I don't know the answer to it. Mr. Lawyer, Mrs. Lawyer, how did the same 5 lawyers get their 5 client cases before the judge every time? We've had 3 massive trials, each one of 5 Depuy Pinnacle victims. And each one, it's basically the same 5 plaintiffs, lawyers. That's our side. Where are you? Why weren't you in there when they pulled the second panel? Why didn't you say, wait a minute, they just went. Hey, what about me? I've got 5 right here ready to go. Okay? And when the second case won, why were you not in court raising a stink saying, what? Hey, they've got their money. They're wealthy for life, these lawyers and their clients. We want a chance. What? We want to strike while the iron is hot. Where were you? Why have you raised that with the court? Are your irritation that the same 5 lawyers have gotten the same, their clients before the court 3 times and we haven't gotten jack shit? That's it. I think some people are going to say that's really the case. That's the crux of the matter. So, well, you know what time it is, kids. Time to go to bed. So, thank you for listening. Show went very long. I'm sorry about that, but it's a lot to say, and I had a lot to come up with. But that's the lawyer to your letter that you're going to write if you want. Remember, this is not legal advice, and you agree that you, by listening or by taking any action, that you are not going to be claiming that it was legal advice that you received from me. I'm not your attorney. I'm not acting as your attorney. And if you have any questions or any ideas that you plan on taking action on, you should consult with an attorney before you do so. And thank you for your time. Thank you for your listening. I hope I've raised some interesting issues that are going to keep you thinking about this matter. And more than that, I hope that I've raised some things that might calm you down and give you at least a few minutes of rest, knowing there's somebody looking at this stuff, that we're not all just sitting around like bobbing on the ocean like bottles. So again, I want to personally thank every one of you. If you'd like to give some money towards raising the cost of the show, we don't take money. But there is a charity I saw about for immigrant children where they're ripping them. We'll give it to them. And I'm going to talk to you next week. Thanks.